chair. Got my drink. I think I'm prepped. The stories. We're gonna go live first. I know I like that music. It's okay. It's time. What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into the Thomas Miller Show. I do appreciate it. I like the music that I picked to usher you into the show. It's got this 80s electronic vibe to it. I absolutely love it. Thank you for tuning into the show. I do appreciate it. My socials are at the top. They're scrolling along the top of my head there, right up there. You can also email the show, thomasmiller@thomasmillershow.com. I do have a number inside my bedroom that identifies as a broadcast studio, and that number is 562-337 9619. I totally forgot my phone number for a second there. If you'd like to help me out on the show and help keep this thing going, help it to keep it grow, there's a web address on the screen. No, I'm not going to freeze on you, I promise. It's buymeacoffee.com/TM show. There you can go and buy a cup of coffee or two. I like the Java. It's good. Also, I have a Patreon channel, and for those that are on Odyssey, if you're watching me on Odyssey and you say, wow, where did this channel come from? It just popped up. I've made it popped up. I'm broadcasting live on Odyssey, so I have a bunch of different formats. I'm going to stop because I will be broadcasting on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, and Trovo. Yeah, Trovo. So there's 6 that I'm going to be broadcasting live on. And that's just to get the word out, a little bit faster. So it's just not confined just to one channel. Also, I have added a Thomas Miller Show contributor by the name of Charlie. So Charlie, thank you for contributing to the Thomas Miller Show. Charlie will feed me all type of stories, help me out with some emails, helpful things. So I appreciate that. It's exciting. I'm really exciting. One day, maybe I will be a Tucker Carlson, but for now, it's just me in my bedroom that identifies as a broadcast studio. All right, so let's get right into today's show. And let me bring up this article real quick. And just when you thought it was over, it is not. They will not let it die. Whoever, the powers that be, the 1%, the Illuminati, who knows, Skull and Bones, whatever, QAnon, you name it, just pick a group. I don't know what's going on, but they will not let this thing die. Now, if you follow me for any time, you've watched me, you know how I feel about the C-19, the COVID-19. I sympathize with everyone out there that has contracted it, that has lost someone. I really do. But overall, I think it is just a tool to control us as a people, and this is proof. According to Yahoo News, coronavirus is back. But how worried should you be? I could probably just skip ahead and tell you they wouldn't print this if they didn't want you to be worried. Okay. Dr. Bob Watcher was an expert who diligently practiced what he preached for 3 years. The prominent University of California of San Francisco physician advocated masking and vaccination for those whom, like him, wanted to avoid the coronavirus, as well as the mysterious, long-lasting symptoms known as long COVID. I didn't even know there was a such thing as long COVID. I didn't know. When Watcher's wife contracted the coronavirus last year, when they were on a trip to Palm Springs, California, together, he still managed not to get sick, even after they sat next to each other in the car on the 9-hour trip back home. So, we're going to skip down here. But Watcher's luck ran out earlier this month when he finally contracted coronavirus. To make matters worse, he fell in the bathroom while battling the flu-like symptoms and was hospitalized with stitches. I'm assuming that's him right there because of his COVID. So the COVID gave him stitches. I'm not trying to make light of this. I'm not trying to be funny, but there was a time when you could literally blame anything on COVID. You know how in politics you can blame everything bad on Trump? Anything bad is Donald Trump. Whether you're left or right, in between, you know that mainstream media will always blame anything that happens negative in our society. It can be traced back to Trump. So at one time, there was even, you could apply that to the coronavirus. Anything bad, you can trace back to coronavirus. It was coronavirus's fault. The sun didn't shine that morning. It was COVID-19 coronavirus. Your car wouldn't start. Yes, your car got the corona. It sounds funny, but it's true. All right. Let's go. So what does this mean in the long runs? Okay, right here, a summer mini spike. They're already prepping us for this. Now, earlier this week, I mentioned that they said we got to watch out for 3. You got to watch out for corona/coronavirus or COVID-19/coronavirus. There's the RSV, I think that's what it is. And then there's just the good old-fashioned flu. And you were to be warned that you need to take a all-in-one, one-stop shop vaccination, as well as your boosters. I'm thinking, okay, wow. And so, according to Yahoo News, a summer mini spike. Washington was not especially rattled by the infections, but the cases are a reminder that the virus lingers. Students competing in the Solar Car Challenge in Orange County, California, for instance, saw the race disrupted this month after about 24 competitors tested positive for COVID-19. I'm going to let you read the article. I'm going to put that in the description box below, but right there, if there's one thing I want you to take away from this show, and that I want you to do, is question everything. Question what I say. Do your research. Read in between the lines. Because these guys want to keep this going. They want to justify another lockdown. And if you notice, you see how they slipped the Green New Deal in there? The green agenda? Global warming? This happened at a solar car challenge in Orange County, California. I'm not saying that it's fake, but it's just coincidental that this happened in Southern California at a solar car challenge. So what they're ramping you up for, if you're like me and you're reading in between the lines here, they're ramping you up for another COVID lockdown, and possibly on top of that, a global warming lockdown, and environmental lockdown. Again, designed to control you and to put us back in our comfy cells, our jail cells that we have made comfortable by the by the modern world of technology. Because you can get your food delivered, you can work from home, you can be entertained. They got you on security. They know they know when you leave and when you come in, because we've put them Ring doorbells as well as other type of home monitoring devices. They'll keep you entertained, like I said before, in the form of your video games and your subscription services. And I'm not saying I never watch any type of shows or any type of movie on a subscription service. I do. But I don't watch it as much as I once did. Because I'm hip to you out there. I'm hip to you 1%ers. I'm hip to you secret society people. You want to keep me stupid. You want to keep people that listen to the show stupid. You want to keep the American people stupid. I'm hip to you. But anyway, just giving you a heads up that you might want to think about prepping. Now, I know that sounds scary to some people, but it is the truth. You might want to get yourself some extra water. I recommend that you get water for 2 weeks. I want to say the average person, now correct me if I'm wrong. This is an open forum. You can comment via chat, or you can, send me an email, or you can just call on the phone. It doesn't matter. However you want to give me the information, it's fine. But I think the average person requires about 100 gallons of water a day. You can, take that down a little bit. There's some things that you can do with water. You can kind of, ration yourself. But I recommend that you get enough water for about 2 weeks. And I don't recommend taking showers if the water goes out. Let's say the water goes out. I'm digressing a little bit, I know. But let's just say the water goes out. Obviously, you're not going to shower every day. You're going to ration that. You may have to take a whore's bath. So that'll take your water consumption down. You're not going to just drink every time you feel thirsty. So you're going to ration. Meals that require water for cooking, you might want to look at some recipes that don't require as much water, minimal water, if none, for cooking. You know what I'm trying to say here, but you want to get enough water for each member of your family for about 2 weeks. That's my suggestion. You can do what's good for you. As far as food, the same thing. Make sure you got your beans and your rice and your staples. If you can't, if that's all you can afford, that's all you can afford. But, if you can go get some meals ready to eat, I've got a few. I've got more than a few. The wife thinks I'm crazy, but she will not think I'm crazy if things go down and she's eating the food, her and the children. And then I'm going to look at them and be like, but daddy's crazy. Oh, you're eating. Oh, I see that. That's because crazy daddy took care of you. So make sure you get some food, water, obviously your safety. And the only reason, and medical, make sure you have a decent medical kit. Now, we're not surgeons, at least most of us are not, and we don't play them on TV. But make sure you have a decent first aid kit. Make sure you have some form of security. I recommend, and I'm going to say it, I recommend that you get a firearm or two just in case, and you practice with it. You go down to the shooting range, you practice with it, you practice cleaning it, all of that good stuff. Because, and I'm just going to be brutally honest with you, when things go down, don't expect anyone to come and help you. I know that sounds doom and gloom, but it's true. Do not expect anyone to come and help you. I did a story earlier this month talking about the 911 system, how it takes about 15 minutes in Oakland to get someone on the phone. To get someone on the phone for 911, roughly about 15 minutes. So just expect no one's going to help you. Because when this pandemic starts again, and it will, I don't know exactly when, but it wouldn't surprise me if they locked us down according to how the trend is going with these stories about, hey, there's a new coronavirus. There's an uptick in cases. What's going on here? Hey guys, I think we should launch another pandemic. So just be ready. Just be ready. Really quick before I go into the next story, I want to, because I told you I got something that I'm working on. And that'll be on my Patreon channel, because I could be a little bit more free about what I talk about and the information that I share with you on Patreon. And you have to subscribe to that. And I will let you know, don't subscribe now. I'm telling you, don't give me money right now. Do not go and subscribe to it until I tell you to subscribe to it if you want to, because then there will be some information on there. I'm not trying to get rich. I just want to bring you information. And if there's no information there right now, of course, I'm not going to tell you to sign up. But I've got everything in place. I've got the Patreon set up. So when I do put information there, then I'm like, okay, you want extra? You want extra, Thomas? You want to see what's really in this dome of mine? Yeah. Then go to Patreon. Well, that sounded very militaristic. Ouch. Anyway, so I've been doing some research, and this book right here is called Operation Paperclip by Annie Jacobsen. She's not paying me any money to do this. None whatsoever. And it's the secret intelligence program that brought Nazi scientists to America. This is a solid read. This, man, read it. I'm stupefied. Read it. There's stuff in there about Walt Disney, as if you didn't think, and as if you didn't think Walt Disney was evil. Oh man. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. So Operation Paperclip, it's the start of NASA. It's all these Nazi scientists that came over after World War II. And it's a really, really good read. Annie Jacobsen, Operation Paperclip. I just wanted to make sure that I plug her book, and she's not giving me a dime, not one dime. In fact, I'm thinking about purchasing extra copies of this and another book that I may give out on the show. Maybe I'll order about 10 of them, 10 a piece. The other one is a Deep State Encyclopedia by a young lady named Really Graceful. I don't have that book because it's in the other room. Wow. Why would you talk about a book and it's not even there? But take care. Get those two books. I may order 10 of each and just give them out over the air. But anyway, okay, so let's move on to another story here. And I'm going to try not to interrupt as much. I will interrupt, but this is huge. There's a big push for our children to pick their gender. You can pick if you want to be a boy or a girl, no matter how young you are. Yes, I know you can't decide if you want Fruit Loops or Trix or Cheerios. And I don't know what to tell you, because all three of those cereals are, yeah, I know you can't pick the favorite cereal you want, but you can pick being a boy or a girl. That's the wokeness. I hate that word. That's the wokeness that these people are preaching. So this next video that I'm going to show you, and we'll go over it together. We got time tonight. We do. So sit back and relax. Let me pull it up on the main screen here. This is a young lady named Chloe Cole. And that's her right there. Now, if you've never seen her, yes, she's got manly features. And there's a reason for that. So what we're going to do, we're going to listen to this and we're going to talk about it together. Here we go.
Being here and for your courage, Ms. Scanlon. Ms. Cole, you're next and you can begin.
Good morning. My name is Chloe Cole, and I am a detransitioner. Another way to put that would be, I used to believe that I was born in the wrong body, and the adults in my life whom I trusted affirmed my belief, and this caused me lifelong, irreversible harm.
Okay, that right there, and no, I'm not going to apologize for stopping, because that's a very important statement that she just said. The adults that I trusted confirmed her own delulu, her own delusion. This is a young child coming to the adults, and they're giving her the okay to hack up her body. Let's continue. There's some sick people in the world. There really are some sick people in the world.
I speak to you today as a victim of one of the biggest medical scandals in the history of the United States of America. I speak to you in the hope that you will have the courage to bring the scandal to an end and ensure that other vulnerable teenagers, children, and young adults don't go through what I went through. I was well into an early puberty, and I was very uncomfortable with the changes that were happening to my body.
Okay, so let's just do a little common sense here. I will be 54 years old in December. And I remember, vaguely, it's so long ago, but I remember when I started going through puberty myself. Your voice changes. Hair starts growing in places that you're like, whoa, what is going on? Your smell changes. Your bones hurt because they start to grow. Your body starts to do things. Your body starts doing some weird stuff. And so when you go through puberty, yeah, you're confused. You are confused. You don't know what's happening. And it's up to the adults, especially the ones in your family, to help you through this. That's why it's good for you to get the talk from a family member and not outside the family member. That's why it's, as a dad, you need to speak to your son about these feelings. Now, I'm not saying, it's necessarily about gender dysphoria, but there's other questions. There's other things. Real talk. It's funny, but I could see where my son was embarrassed. So, as a parent, sometimes you walk in your children's room. You just walk in. You don't have to knock. You pay the bills there. You pay the lights there, the gas. You put the food on the table. You put the clothes on their back. I'm just going to walk in the room. It's my son. So I walk in. And there he is. Standing at attention. And not saluting the other salute because he's getting ready for school, standing at attention. He was about, I don't know, 11 or 12. And I could see he was embarrassed because he's like, wow, oh man, Dad's caught me in a very compromising position. Well, going through that myself, after, because he had baseball practice, gets home from baseball practice, and we sit down that evening and we have a talk. And he's like, yeah, because I don't know what's going on. Like, it just happens, Dad. And I'm like, yeah. And so I told him about the Eddie Murphy joke, I believe was in Delirious, when he's talking about he's going through puberty. And he said, no, I'm reciting a joke here. And he said, yeah, man, my dick get hard if the wind blow. It's like, I couldn't even go up there and work on the board. Teacher be like, Mr. Murphy, you want to come here and solve this problem on the board? No thanks. I take the 0. Because it's true. Things happen with our bodies. But it's up to the adults to guide your children, or guide the children if it is not your child, if it's your niece, your nephew, to guide them and help them through that awkward transitional stage from adolescent to young adult, because it's weird. And so when Chloe's talking about, hey, I trusted these people, I didn't know what's going on mentally or physically. Something is going on and I'm having a problem with it. And these adults, this is their solution, to have her transition.
I was intimidated by male attention. And when I told my parents that I felt like a boy, in retrospect, all I meant was that I hated puberty, that I wanted this newfound sexual attention to go away, that I looked up to my brothers a little bit more than I did to my sisters. I came out as transgender in a letter I sent on the dining room table. My parents were immediately concerned. They felt like they needed to get outside help from medical professionals, but this proved to be a mistake. It immediately set our entire family down a path of ideologically motivated deceit and coercion.
Ideological. This young woman now is looking behind the veil and seeing what these evil people are doing to our children, to our youth, to our young adults. And this is a major push. We knew that there were gay people, lesbians, bisexuals in our world. Always has been. You can read the Bible. Thousands of years ago, there were gay people, lesbians and homosexuals, and bisexuals. So this is something that's been going on for thousands of years. But it is up to the parents and the caretakers to help our children through this. It's unbelievable.
The gender specialist I was taken to see told my parents that I needed to be put on puberty blocking drugs right away.
That's the answer.
They asked my parents a simple question. Would you rather have a dead daughter or a living transgender son? The choice was enough for my parents to let their guard down, and in retrospect, I can't blame them. This was the moment that we all became victims of so-called gender-affirming care. I was fast-tracked onto puberty blockers and then testosterone. The resulting menopausal-like hot flashes made focusing on school impossible. I still get joint pains and weird pops in my back, but they were far worse when I was on the blockers. A month later, when I was 13, I had my first testosterone injection. It's caused permanent changes to my body. My voice will forever be deeper, my jawline sharper, my nose longer, my bone structure permanently masculinized, my Adam's apple more prominent, my fertility unknown.
And she's right. She's absolutely right. I mean, no disrespect to this young lady at all. But if you look at her right now, and if we are honest with ourselves, you would think that is a male transitioning to a female. And And she's detransitioning. She transitioned to male. Now she's going back to female. So she looks like a male trying to be a female, but she's actually male. Now going back, trying to transition back to her original state. And look at her. And I'm not saying look at her as in grotesque, but she's right. She looks like a boy. She looks like a feminine boy. How dare her parents do this to her? And I know that they were scared. And this is where we need to understand. This is why I keep talking about biblical values. Stick to your biblical values. That's if you believe in the Bible. Read your Bible. Get inspiration. Talk to other parents that may have went through this or may have a child that's went through puberty. Parents, talk to someone. Because like I said yesterday, the pharmaceutical, they're only out for one thing, and that's the almighty dollar. Now, do they help people sometimes? Absolutely. Absolutely. I go to the doctor. Sometimes. But I'll tell you this, when they start to say, hey, well, we're just going to prescribe this to you. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be a negative. Let me do my research. Her parents absolutely failed her.
I look in the mirror sometimes and I feel like a monster.
Oh, man.
I had a double mastectomy at 15.
What? At 15? I can't tell you all the stupid things that I did when I was 15. I can't list them. I can't count them. I can't tell you I've changed what I wanted. At 15, I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. I want to go here. I want to do that. You're trying to come into your own. And she goes through a double mastectomy at 15?
Tested my amputated breast for cancer. And I was cancer-free, of course. I was perfectly healthy. There was nothing wrong with my still developing body or my breasts, other than that as an insecure teenage girl.
But I could see where that could be a problem. I really do. I could see where that would be not a problem, but I could see where transitioning, especially a woman, you got to think about it. When you are, as a dad, it was hard for me as a dad watching my girls transform from a little girl into a woman. I was uncomfortable. So imagine a young lady who used to go outside, play with the boys, flat-chested, no curves, just a child having fun, and then wake up one morning and it's like, hey, wait a minute. Something's growing here. Why am I getting shapes? Why are the boys looking at me weird? Why is my dad suddenly acting weird? What's going on here? Why am I thinking these things? That's traumatic. And when you are a young person, and this is why, honestly, hey, I'm glad I'm a male, because I can't even imagine what it's like growing up a woman in all of these changes, all of these biological changes. And the solution from her parents, and I know they were scared. I know they were scared. And I understand. What I don't understand, that's your solution, is to give your child hormone blockers? Shoot them up with testosterone? Giving her a double mastectomy? How do you think that's going to affect her mentally?
Before I was able to legally drive, I had a huge part of my future womanhood taken from me. I will never be able to breastfeed. I struggle to look at myself in the mirror at times. I still struggle to this day with sexual dysfunction. And I have massive scars across my chest. And the skin grafts that they took of my nipples, are weeping fluid today. And they were grafted into a more masculine positioning, they said. After surgery, my grades in school plummeted. Everything that I went through did nothing to address my underlying mental health issues that I had. And my doctors, with their theories on gender, thought that all my problems would go away as soon as I was surgically transformed into something that...
People are absolute evil because that's your solution. How about, like I said before, when you have a young person who can't decide if they want Captain Crunch or bacon and eggs in the morning? I told this story once, and it is true. I remember as an adolescent, I was in the 6th grade. Mr. Fescus, who was it? Yeah, Mr. Fescus class, 6th grade. That was 6th grade. And my friend, Brian Culberson. We loved the Dukes of Hazzards. Man, we loved the Dukes of Hazzards. That was the show. You know, the General Lee, Uncle Jesse, Catherine Bach. That was my show. He was Bo Duke. I was Luke Duke. Now, we didn't have a General Lee. But when recess came and the bell rung, we both went from Bo and Luke Duke, and we both thought we were the General Lee. And we're running around the school. And we're like, you know, tires going, and we're acting like we're the car. We're like, you know, shifting, but like we're sliding and everything. I thought I was the General Lee. And if I wasn't the General Lee, I was Luke Duke. Obviously, looking at me, I'm not going to be Luke Duke. And obviously, looking at me, I'm definitely not going to be the General Lee. But if you would have asked me, Thomas, what are you? Man, I'm the General Lee. Oh, okay. Now, I know that sounds crazy and I'm making light, but I'm not. She needed help because you change your mind so much in your youth. It's actually, it's really true. You change your mind so much and you want to be loved. You want to be liked. You want someone to help you through this awkward transition phase. Even with me wanting to be the General Lee and Luke Duke, I had to come to the realization as I started getting older. Hey, self, yeah, what's up? You know you're not a car, right? Yeah, I know I'm not a car. And you know you're not Luke Duke. Yeah, I'm not Luke Duke. And you're okay with that, right? You know that's okay. It's okay to come out of Delulu land. Yeah, I guess I'll come out of Delulu land and enter another part of Delulu land because other things happen as I'm growing up. But this is our responsibility to help our children so they don't end up in front of a House Judiciary Committee at a gender-affirming hearing.
Their theories were wrong. The drugs and surgeries changed my body, but they did not and could not change the basic reality that I am and forever will be a female. When my specialist first told my parents that they could have a dead daughter or a live transgender son, I wasn't suicidal. I was a happy child who struggled because she was different. However, at 16, after my surgery, I did beat them by my doctors. My doctors had almost created the very nightmare they said they were trying to avoid. So what message do I want to
Man.
bring to American teenagers and their families? I didn't need to be lied to. I needed compassion. I needed to be loved. I needed to be given therapy to help me work through my issues, not affirm to my delusion that by transforming into a boy,
What did I say earlier? These are, I'm mad for this young lady. It's actually emotional right now. I'm getting emotional right now because this society, at our children's detriment, we want to give them everything. We don't want to parent. We want to be their friend. I don't want to be my child's friend. I don't want to be my child's friend. I got a responsibility to do. My responsibility is to raise up a child so they can navigate through this. She even said, I needed love. I needed attention. I needed someone to talk to. I needed my mom. I needed my dad. Oh my gosh.
it would solve all my problems. We need to stop telling 12-year-olds that they were born wrong, that they are right to reject their own bodies and feel uncomfortable with their own skin. We need to stop telling children that puberty is an option, that they can choose what kind of puberty they will go through, just so they can choose what clothes to wear or what music to listen to. Puberty is a rite of passage to adulthood, not a disease to be mitigated. Today, I should be at home with my family celebrating my 19th birthday, and instead I'm making a desperate plea to my elected representatives. Learn the lessons from other medical scandals like the opioid crisis, to recognize that doctors are human too, and sometimes they are wrong. My childhood was ruined along with thousands of detransitioners that I know through our networks. This needs to stop. You alone can stop it. Enough children have already been victimized by this barbaric pseudoscience. Please let me be your final warning.
Man, that is emotional. Chloe, I am so sorry that happened to you. I really am. Man, let me change the screen for a second. She's absolutely right. And at what point do we hold these doctors accountable? Because here's the thing, they're not going to be held accountable. They're not. There's so much money in the treatment of said disorder. She is probably going to have to go through more treatment, more surgeries. She doesn't even know if she's going to be able to have children. And if she does have children, she can't even breastfeed them. That's mentally, I'm glad she's still here. I applaud her. But she even said, wow. You think I was suicidal then? I'm paraphrasing. You think I was suicidal then? They treated her like an experiment, how they treat us. She's 19. She's never going to have a normal life. Oh my goodness. Wow. All right. We're going to take a break. Take a little break. And when we come back, I got some more of the Thomas Miller Show. Remember, you can be a part of the conversation here. Just chat, or you can email me, or you can call 562-337-9619. Thank you so much for listening to the show. I will be back with more of the Thomas Miller Show. Make sure you guys get something to drink. Take a bio break. We'll be back. right, we're back. This is the Thomas Miller Show. Thank you so much for tuning in to be sneaking into the restroom area. So if you hear the door slam, long story short, if you hear a door slam, that's just my child. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. I was going to tell you something. I had something right on the tip of my tongue, but I totally forgot. But anyway, as I told you at the very beginning of the show, I have a contributor, Charlie, who contributes to the show, and we were talking today, and we're talking about the weekend. And I was asked by Charlie, what are you going to do this weekend? I said, I think I'm going to do another show. Oh, what time are you going to do the show? I think I'm doing it in the afternoon, about 11 o'clock. And Charlie looks at me and says, that's morning. Really? I'm like, you're right. Long story short, why did I tell you that? Because tomorrow I'm going to try and go live midday, probably from 11 a.m. until, I don't know, at least an hour. Try to go an hour and a half like I normally do. But if you're around and you want to listen to the Saturday show, you can totally do that. Would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to try to work as much as I can on this because I do want it to grow. I do want to educate more people about what's going on around them and really give honest commentary. So I really enjoy this. I really do. And I want to bring you along for the journey. So thank you so much. All right. Let's get into this next video, and it's Tucker Carlson. This dude is literally on fire as far as making the rounds in the media without needing mainstream media. I really applaud him. And recently he did an interview with another interesting guy that I talked about earlier this week, Ice Cube. And I was listening to it and I'm thinking to myself, what's going on with this interview? Why is Tucker talking to Ice Cube? What's going on here? So I listened to a little bit, and I do have a chunk of that interview that we are going to dissect together. It's quite interesting. So yeah, we're going to get into that. Like I said, there's my child right there. Okay, great. Leaving my bedroom that identifies as a studio. Oh boy, it's live. Hey, it's live. Okay, here we go. Let's get into this video with Tucker Carlson speaking with Ice Cube. All right, here we go.
So why would you be doing this of all interviews? I mean, you could do an interview with anyone. You're doing an interview with me. Obviously, you're going to take abuse for doing that. Like, why would you do that?
Because I think it's silly not to talk to people.
Right out of the gate, Ice Cube and I are the same age. He's 53, 54. Very interesting life. I listened to him in my early days when they literally took the music world by storm. NWA, Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, Yella, all these dudes. From when they came onto the scene, they literally kicked the door down with their gangster rap. And they were talking about stuff that was happening in the hood and actually bringing that to mainstream America in the form of rap music, which later spawned the cult favorite movie Boys in the Hood. So to hear him talk about, just talking to people, and Tucker Carlson really, he's such a professional because what he really wanted to say, and I'm going to back it up for you. We're going to start this interview again. But what he really wanted to say, and they're going to hate you for that. Here you are talking to the man, talking to the cracker. Why are you talking to that cracker? That's real. I'm just keeping it real. Hey, I'm just keeping it real. Okay, here we go.
Obviously, you're going to take abuse for doing that. Like, why would you do that?
Because I think it's silly not to talk to people. I think whether we agree or not,
right?
that has nothing to do with it. You know, it's like, this is what it's all about. Let's talk about it. Let's debate. And you know, I've been shut
Wait,
out.
that sounds like right-wing extremism. And
I was literally going to say, I was literally going to say what Tucker said. Full Ice Cube. Stop.
Some platforms will not have me on.
why?
They don't like that I'm, you know, an independent thinker.
They actually hate that. I'm nowhere even close to any of these two right here. Not even close to a Tucker Carlson or an Ice Cube. However, I could not go and get another radio gig talking the way I talk on this show. Being honest, I would literally be pulled in the program director's office, just what I said 2 minutes ago. Why are you talking to this white dude? I would literally be pulled into the program director's office and probably be fired. That's one of the reasons why I left radio, is I couldn't say what I wanted to say. And now I'm fortunate that, you know what, with a small investment and a microphone, a couple of computer screens, and an internet connection, and I'm able to have the opportunity to share my voice and what I feel and be able to comment on things like this. If people listen, great. If they don't, I get it off my chest. It's just not inside, bubbling up. And I want, especially now, it really, within the last couple of years, I really wanted to have a voice, because mainstream media, I'm just going to touch on this just a tiny bit, but a couple of years ago, they silenced our president of the United States on Twitter. Let that sink in for a moment.
I'm not part of the herd. I'm not part of the go along to get along gang. You know, I tried to go on The View. They didn't have me on The View.
Why?
Well, a few of the guests just really didn't like where I was coming from. So, or a few of the hosts, I mean. So that's what I was told by the producers.
And because I really believe Ice Cube is starting to wake up. Now, he said some things. I did a video of him talking about some things that I didn't agree with at all. He made a statement that he thinks it's, 1968, and we're still in 1968 as far as race relations. I don't agree with that. But I do agree with him waking up, because he has become a little more outspoken, as if Ice Cube was ever not outspoken. When you listen to his records, if you've never heard an NWA record or an Ice Cube record, you're going to be like, wow, this dude's afraid to say stuff? Okay, that doesn't make sense, but it's a different level. His records, his recordings were really geared towards black people, with a little hint of, I'm gonna let everyone else take a glimpse inside what really goes on in the hood. He had a famous line at the end of Boys in the Hood, where he's sitting on the stoop with his friend, and they were talking, and Ice Cube was like, either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood. And so with his recordings, he gave America just a glimpse of what really goes on in the hood. But he is being silenced. He's waking up. I think we're all three about the same age. So we got three old men sitting here commenting on the state of America right now, the state of free speech, the state of being canceled, the state of, just being a conservative, that you are some sort of right-wing wacko. Let's continue.
I've been on there before.
Yeah.
It's just when I've became an independent thinker, when I'm not I don't follow their brand of politics, I guess.
When he became an independent thinker, now I mentioned that he said in an earlier interview that we're still in 1968. I'm going to take you back a little bit further. During slavery, one of the biggest things that was troublesome for slave owners is an educated black person. Weren't allowed to read, weren't allowed to give opinions, weren't allowed to say anything. One of the scariest things during that time was an educated black person, someone who could read and understand what they could read and knew their rights. That was scarier than an armed black man at one time. And now that Ice Cube is starting to change the way, and he's starting to say, wait a minute, I don't want to be just a slave anymore. What's going on? And now he's starting to question things. He's starting to figure out there's an agenda going on. There's some poison being spread around, and I'm not buying into that poison. So as long as he was not thinking, mainstream media loved him. Now he's starting to think, yeah, we don't want that dude no more. Let's cancel him.
But if you can't think for yourself, then you're not really free, are you?
No, you're not. You're not. But I've been excluded. I've been excluded on Oprah.
On Oprah?
On Oprah, yeah. I've been
You know
excluded.
how I feel about Oprah.
Yeah, man.
I would think you'd be the person Oprah would want to promote. I mean, you grew up in South Central. You were successful at a young age. You have dignity. You say what you think. Like, I thought that was the goal.
You would think, Tucker, you really would. You would think that. But Oprah is a gatekeeper. Oprah wants to keep her own people enslaved. Oprah doesn't want you to know the truth about your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. She is not a good person. I mean, we all aren't good people. She's really not a good person. But if she drops Christian in, care about you, Jesus, and just drops that in, just sprinkles it just a little bit, then she's got you. On top of that, she's a successful, very successful monetarily black woman. So people follow her and they just flop all over her. But she is not a good person.
Me too. I don't know what it is.
So I remember reading you say something along the lines of, I didn't vote for Trump. I'm not a Trump voter. You actually attacked Trump at one point, but you were willing to meet with Trump. Do you think that crossed a line?
I think some people didn't like that, but I think it's idiotic. Enemies meet.
Right.
They talk. I'm pretty sure there's some communication between Russia and the Ukraine right now. Somebody's on the phone talking to somebody. I know when the talking stops, the fighting starts.
There he goes again, using common sense. If the talking stops, the fighting starts. Think about what Trump said. Trump said that if I was president, if I got in the office right now, I would stop the war in Ukraine. I would get Putin in the same room, and I would get Zelensky in the same room, and we would talk about this. I would facilitate this. Y'all need to cut this. Trump never said, hey, if I get in the office, I'm just going to blow up Russia. He goes, no. We're going to talk about this. We're going to stop this war. We're going to communicate. We're going to figure out something that's going to be equitable for everybody. That doesn't sound maniacal to me. And when Ice Cube starts thinking like this, hey, I may not have voted for Trump, but you know what? Let me sit down and talk to this man and see what he's all about. I'm willing to do that. No, you cannot do that. We will not allow that. If you sit down and talk to Trump, the white devil, we're going to cancel you. They don't like that.
You know, a lot of people, they, think I'm a, Republican. I'm a right winger. Just because I was willing to speak to the Trump administration, and I was willing to speak with the Biden administration as well.
He was.
Have you?
One guy in the administration, but it didn't go anywhere. It was basically a, take my temperature kind of call.
Think about this. You really have to sit down and really digest everything that's being said right now. There's not a person. Hang on, my mind's going crazy here. There's not one person. Let me take this back. There's very few people who have not heard of Ice Cube. Ice Cube is a bona fide superstar. The reason why I say he's a bona fide superstar because he's well known outside of Black America, ghetto America, what people like to, put him in. He's worldwide. This dude is a superstar. You may not have heard one Ice Cube record. You may not have seen one Ice Cube movie. You may not have seen one of his 3-on-3 basketball games. But I guarantee you've heard of Ice Cube. Have you heard of Ice Cube? Yeah. Isn't he a rapper? That's what you would get from somebody. Oh, isn't he in movies? He's a bona fide superstar. John Cena, The Rock. Especially The Rock, you may not have seen The Rock in one WWE match at all, but you know who The Rock is. You may not like country music at all. You know who Hank Williams Jr. is, Dolly Parton is. These are bona fide superstars. And so for a superstar not to get a meeting with the president because he doesn't think he's now coming off the plantation. He's making a run off the plantation, so I don't want to speak to him. When you have a bona fide superstar like this that could very well donate to your campaign, put money into your fund, and you ask to meet with them, and you're the president and you don't meet with them, it has to be because he doesn't want to be on the plantation anymore.
What do you think of Biden?
I don't think he's given the people who put him in exactly what they thought they were going to get from him.
You mean
His
lied?
most loyal voters, according to the polls anyway, are black voters, particularly black women. Mm-hmm. And those numbers don't seem to change. So no matter what happens or doesn't happen. So do you expect they ever will change?
Before we listen to Ice Cube's answer, if that question was given to me, Thomas, mostly black women, vote for Biden. Do you think that would ever, it doesn't look like that's going to change. Do you think it will ever change? The answer is no. Biden and people like him, they have an agenda to take the male figure out of the household. Especially, a man can't do S for me. I don't need no man. Well, the reason why you don't need a man is because you're getting handouts from the government. The government is actually paying you to go against God's word. Get pregnant. The guy doesn't have anything to say about it. Get pregnant, have babies for the welfare. In fact, that is an Ice Cube record, having babies for the welfare. The government is paying black women not to have a male figure in the home. Destroying the family. So of course, and because we're not reading, because they're not listening to shows like this, they're listening to these wretched women on The View spewing absolute garbage. Yeah, girl, you go, girl. Yeah. Yeah, drop it like it's hot. Yeah, Cardi B, WAP, WAP. If you haven't heard that song, then don't listen to it because it's absolutely disgusting. Yeah, sexuality. Throw yourself out there. Have a good time. Half naked. Woo, look at my booty clap. While you got 4 kids and no husband, living off the government. So Biden's paying them. And as long as they're getting paid, I'm not going to change my vote. Why would they? The only way that would stop is if someone like a Trump, or even like an Ice Cube, or even someone like myself gets into office and say, you know what? Okay, the gravy train is done. It's done. You are going to have to be held accountable for your actions. You want to act like a hoe and have kids? Don't expect us to pay for it. Accountability. Man, that's some fire right there. See, I couldn't have said that. I couldn't have said that on mainstream radio. I couldn't have said that at my old radio job.
You know, whether they become independents and not vote for anybody who's not bringing it. You know, it's like people want your vote. They have to do something to earn it. If they don't earn it, why are you going down there and pulling that lever?
What's your view of the police at this point?
This ought to be interesting because if you followed Ice Cube in his early career, he had a song, F the Police. F the police from the underground. A young N-word got it bad because I'm brown. See, I'm telling you, he had a song called F the Police.
It's the same, you know. It really is, you know. It's a fraternity. It's an organization that does things a certain way, and I think their philosophy sometimes is detrimental to the people they're serving, because I think cops have a win and make it home philosophy. You can't really fault somebody for thinking that way as a police officer, but that's the philosophy, so everything else comes second to that.
And this is where I don't agree with him. I still don't agree with him. Number one, he's not in the hood anymore. Let's just keep it real. He's in his nice house. He's raising his children. He's still producing movies. He's still producing records. He's got side deals going on. He's got the 3-on-3 basketball. He's not in the hood anymore. He has private security. He's had private security for a number of years now, a number of decades. I don't think he's giving. This is where he's still contributing to that old ghetto mentality that the police are out to just kill black folks and at any means necessary. And that's not true. Now, I don't know if he's playing up to continue his record sales or whatever, or his movies at this point, to say something that might be, people can still relate to me, the hood, and it was without the mic boom, without the lights, without the camera, and we're sitting in the backyard drinking a couple cold ones, I don't think he would be saying this. I really don't. I think that he would be for more police in the hood, because if you think about it, they would get rid of the drugs, the crime, the prostitution, the gang banging. And while there's a broken clock is right twice a day. Now, is every policeman on the up and up? The answer is no. But are the majority of the men and women in the police force, are they there to help you and put their lives on the line for your safety? The answer is yes, absolutely. So I don't agree with him here. I think this is just him appeasing to his fan base.
That's what we see is an organization hell bent on winning, and not a fraternity or organization hell bent on upholding the law and doing everything right or by the book, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's harder to be a man in America now than it was when you were a kid?
Yes. Saying what you feel, being yourself, is what they call toxic.
I 100% agree with that. You can't be a man. And of course, I'm going to go to the Bible again just for a little bit. If you go to the Bible and you see what God has called us to do as men, it's not fun sometimes. There's a lot of responsibility. And I'm not saying this to say, oh, poor men, poor men. No, it's a lot of responsibilities, right? Her husband's fed, that takes a lot. That takes a lot. But men need to be men. That's just the bottom line. We are called to be men. We're called to be masculine. I used to believe that there was a feminine side. No, I don't believe that anymore. Not at all. Because God's called me to be a man, not a feminine man. He calls me to be a man. You got to do the hard work. And sometimes that hard work is hard. You have to make hard decisions. You have to be a leader. You have to be a safety. You have to be a provider. You have to be a teacher. Yes, and if you think about all that, you can't be soft. You can't be soft. And if a man wants to make sure his family is raised right, that they're doing the right things, that his wife is a respectable lady, that's his job. Now, some people may be reading into that saying, wow, that's very toxic. You're talking about controlling and beating. No, I'm talking about holding every member of my family accountable and to represent the family when they're out in public. There used to be a time where if you were doing something that wasn't right, that, the first thing would be, I didn't raise you like that. You're just not out there by yourself. The things you do represent the values and how you were raised by this family. And that's a lot. To be the authority in your house, rightfully so, according to God, then you are seen as toxic or controlling.
We've been talking almost all day now. You haven't mentioned race a single time. We've mentioned economics, rich and poor, a number of times. Do you think that we overplay the role of racial conflict in American life?
Yes. I think race takes up too much space. There's people that we all have in our lives who are same race that we can't stand. And there's people in our lives from other races that we get along with way better. So it's not a
grand close with their families, but man, you can't get a bunch of black folks together. We start fighting, cussing each other out, and there's not a white man for miles, not a white person for miles. It's all close-knit family, close family, sort of distant family. Nevertheless, it's all distant family, and we can't get along. We can't get along in the streets. You go to the hood, it's not the police, hunting down black folks. It's black folks killing black folks. It's black folks selling dope to black folks. It's black folks prostituting black folks. That's what's happening. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it firsthand in Pasadena, California, where the police don't go to certain parts of Pasadena. They just don't. And if they do, they roll in 4 deep. Meaning there's 4 police officers to a car. They come in rolling 4 deep with 3 or 4 cars just to come in. That's what's going on. So we have to be really careful when we start talking about race and stuff, because there's just hateful people. There's just hateful people. We all got our trash. We all got our trash.
Think a lot of people make a lot of money off of
It's a
the
hustle.
racists fighting against each other.
100%. I agree with that.
They the ones who push it in our face all the time.
All the
that
time.
we're separate.
Are you mad about it? Are you mad at people for their skin color ever in the course of a day?
I'm not mad at people because of their skin color. You know, I'm mad at people because of what they do and the things they choose not to do.
Right. I've noticed something weird. I've never been a big hip hop fan, but I've met a bunch of hip hop performers,
Yeah.
and they're all pretty open-minded, way more open-minded than, say, your average college professor. I wouldn't have expected that. Why do you think that is?
You know, college professors, they all want their jobs. And if their staff or administration is saying, hey, we think this way at this college, sometimes they understand what that is and they stick to those guidelines.
They stick to the indoctrination. You know, you could tell Ice Cube is waking up. I think he's going through some stuff, as well as Tucker Carlson's going through some stuff. You know, I've told people on this show that we've been lied to ever since we were born. Number one is that stupid globe that's in every classroom, and they're pushing that stupid solar system. And if you read your Bible, that's not the way heaven and earth was created. But I digress. But they're pushing that. They're pushing their own ideology off on us, and the professors can't go against that. I kid you not, I spoke to a teacher, and she was telling me, I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, well, what's going on? They want us to teach this stuff, and I can't. But if I don't teach it, I could lose my job. We have to sign off that we taught this. And it was a course on LG, it was a course on the letters mafia, being taught to adolescents. And if it wasn't taught off, they had to physically sign off that they covered this part. And she said, I can't do it. And that's total confusion to go against God's word, in a nutshell.
Rappers, we're free spirits. We know doing things the way they were done in the past hasn't really gotten us as far along as a people as we have wanted. So we tend to break the mold. We tend to be disruptors. If I would have stayed in my lane, I wouldn't be here. I would still be in South Central Los Angeles, not following my dreams.
You know what? Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I enjoyed watching it with you and talking about it with you. There's a full interview. I'm going to find that and put the link in the description box below. But where Tucker Carlson admits that he didn't do his job when he was at Fox, that he should have questioned more. And when he started questioning this stuff, that's when they got him out. That's when they let Tucker Carlson go. There's going to be a lot of this happening. Mark my words, because our Bible tells us so. These things are going to happen. People are going to start coming out of Mystery Babylon. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to today's show. I do appreciate it, man. You guys are the best, for real though. See, because Ice Cube was on the show, and so I think I can start talking street for real though. That's real. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Man, follow me on my socials. I will be back tomorrow. We are going to do this again. 11 o'clock. That's the time. So hang on for a second. There we go. 11 o'clock. And yeah, so stay tuned till then. comment what you heard on the show. If there's something that you would like for me to talk about, you want my opinion about some things, let me know. You can sponsor the show by buying me a cup of coffee. That would be great, especially the mornings. I would love a cup of coffee. But in the meantime, you guys take care of yourselves. And yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow at 11. This is the Thomas Miller Show. Have a good evening.